Progressive protects your business and your dream. Choose from over 30 coverage options at progressivecommercial.com. Plus, get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Power Nitro plus premium gasoline. Any minute now, we're scheduled to speak. Actually, he is here. He's 23-1-0 with one no decision. He's the light heavyweight champion of the world. He's about to go up against Anthony Smith. He is the one and only John Bones Jones, and he is on the line with yours truly right now. What's going on, Big Time? How are you?
Man, you big time. You the one and only Stephen A. How are you?
I wish. Let's get right into it. First of all, you had a fight. You had a fight a few weeks ago. You went up against Alexander Gustafsson. You handled your business in the third round. You took him out. You won the vacant UFC light heavyweight championship of the world. Talk to me about that particular fight and how ready were you for it, considering the fact that it had been nearly 2 years before you had your last fight.
Yeah, it was a great experience for me. He considered himself my kryptonite, and it had been 5 years since we faced each other last, and I think it proved who I've been working hard at. Proved it proved what the sport meant to each of us. I felt like I've improved leaps and bounds since the last time we faced each other. And I'm just grateful to be in the position that I'm at.
Now, obviously, you were going away from the sport. We don't have to, belabor that point. You've spoken about it. You came on First Take to speak about it. You've been on SportsCenter. You've spoken about it in the past. Your suspension from the sport and what have you. But while you were away, talk to my audience about what that did for you. As a fighter, did it elevate your level of fervor to continue doing this for the long haul? Did it take something away from you? What did you learn in your absence?
Stephen, I've had a very controversial career, and I try to find the good in everything and the blessings in everything. And on the positive side, I got to realize how much the sport means to me, and what I am outside the sport. And my gratefulness is just as far as me to just work harder, and to dream bigger, and to just allow victory and my perseverance to outweigh any type of controversy or downtime.
It's interesting because when you fought Gustafsson on, September 21st, 2013, UFC 165, you had won that fight by decision. When you went up against him this past December 29th, like you said, 5 years later, he said some things about you. He questioned the validity of your fight game. He basically insinuated that you were a cheater. I knew he was doomed from the moment he did that, because you ain't the person to do that to. Make no mistake about that. But when you think about the kind of things that he was saying, are you concerned that even though there was a small sample, and you can explain that if you want to, in your blood or whatever the case may be, are you concerned, whether it's him, the Daniel Cormiers of the world, and others, are you concerned that these guys are going to go about the business of religiously trying to label you somebody who tries to get an unfair advantage against them and try to just eradicate your validity and authenticity as a champion? Are you concerned about that at all moving forward?
I'm not concerned about it, Stephen A. At the end of the day, when you've been blessed with a certain amount of greatness, there will always be excuses for who you are. When I first started the sport, people would say, well, his brothers are both, athletes. They would say, like, well, his arms are long. And then they would say, well, he poked the guy in the eye, so maybe that's why he's winning it. Or he's kicking the guy in the knee, that's why he's winning. There's always going to be excuses. And unfortunately, it's my last situation, and this whole Pico Grill mess, it's given my doubters a legitimate excuse. But at the end of the day, what's for me is for me, Stephen A. And you just can't stop God's blessings, man. You just can't stop God's blessings.
I got a question. John, I got a question.
No,
We're talking to John Bones Jones, UFC light heavyweight champion of the world. He's right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. I got to ask you this question. Why the hell are you fighting somebody with 13 losses? I mean, I know Anthony Smith can fight a little bit, but why is a guy with 13 losses getting in the octagon with you?
Well, you know, as the king, you got to take on all challenges. And every man deserves his chance. And to me, you know, everyone's worthy, man. You know, everyone has their talents and everyone has the value and their worth. And you know, and at the end of the day, you know, the tailwind of his career it's been a nice one. You know, he's really coming into his own. And he's become a great fighter. And you know, my job is not to be a dream crusher. You know, it's just so much bigger for me, Steve. So in my eyes, he's just a pawn in a great, great story. And there is no face, you know, there is no records to me. It's just, you know, I just see victory for years to come. So, you know, in order to be great, you got to take them all. And that's what I'm here doing.
We're talking to John Bones Jones right here with Stephen A. on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Are you ever going to fight Daniel Cormier again?
You know, I've always said that it's not personal for me. Like I was just saying, it's not personal for me. I'm 2-0 against Daniel Cormier. It's a blessing every time I hear people call him the greatest of all time. That just lets me know who I am. And if Daniel wants to redeem himself, he can come down to the light heavyweight division. I've never challenged any heavyweight. And when I do decide to challenge a heavyweight, it'll be the perfect scenario for me, whether it's financial or stylistic. And, you know, his kids will know at the end of the day that his daddy's not the real champ.
Well, the reason I asked that question. I'm sorry, go ahead. I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead.
I said his kids will know one day when they're old enough that his daddy wasn't the real champ in my era, and that's all that really matters.
But don't you think that's the fight that people really, really want to see, because there clearly appears to be genuine disdain that you guys have for each other, or at the very least he appears to have for you?
I'm 2-0 against Daniel Cormier. And like I said, financially, if the UFC wants to give the fans what they want, it'll happen.
Okay. John Bones Jones right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Last question. I'm thinking about you as the light heavyweight champion. You talked about how you've never challenged a heavyweight. Do you see that in the foreseeable future, you moving up to the heavyweight division, or are you going to stay at the light heavyweight division and be satisfied there?
I'm totally satisfied. You know, when I joined the UFC originally, my goal was to be the greatest light heavyweight champion of all time, and just the greatest champion of all time. And I'm happy in the lane that I am. I've cleared out my division, and I got a lot of young blood coming up with big dreams. You know, one day beating myself, and my job is just keep on keeping on.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going to do. I'm satisfied in my lane.
John Bones Jones, wishing you nothing but the best. Your headlining UFC 235 at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, a week from Saturday. Good luck to you, my man, and I hope to see you there. Handle your business. We'll talk soon.
It's an honor to talk to you, Steve. Keep being great.
All right, my man. The one and only John Bones Jones, UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Scheduled to go up against Anthony Smith a week from Saturday, UFC 235. Don't miss it. Do not miss it. Let's get back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back to the phones we go about this Robert Kraft situation. And Nuno, again, puts that up for me so I can read this one more time to our listeners and viewers out there, because I want to make sure that everybody understood something that I didn't know. No, at the beginning of the show, I can promise you that. I didn't know all of this stuff was going on. A couple of things. Nuno, I'm looking for the story that you showed me. Here it is. Police in Florida have charged New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft with misdemeanor solicitation of prostitution, saying they have videotape of him paying for a sex act inside an illicit massage parlor. Jupiter police told reporters Friday that the 77-year-old Kraft hasn't been arrested. A warrant will be issued and his attorneys will be notified. The charge comes amid a widespread crackdown on sex trafficking in the area surrounding Palm Beach County. About 200 arrests have been issued in recent days and more are expected. Initially, when I talked about this at the beginning of the show, I just thought that, he was engaging in some consensual act with somebody and got caught in a public place. Like, I didn't know all of this stuff was going on. Sex trafficking and videotape, a sting operation spanning months, over 200 arrests. Good Lord, I didn't know he was a part of that. They're not accusing him of sex trafficking, obviously. They're accusing him of being involved in soliciting prostitution. But this is obviously a serious matter now. Make no mistake about it. My lack of understanding, I apologize. I didn't know all of that. Let's go to Stacy. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Hi, Stacy.
Hey, Stephen A. I've been a long-time listener.
Thank you.
Anyway, I am just calling you to let you know I am so unhappy about the situation with Robert Kraft.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I also wanted to say, because these people have money, they get away with just a slap on the wrist. Mm-hmm. That's not fair. These people come from all over the world. These young children, it could be your child, get kidnapped and taken to some different part of the country. Mm-hmm. I'm an 18-wheeler driver all over the country, and I see things and I say things. I report things. My name is probably so long on the different PD, whatever part of the country I go to. If I see a vehicle parked anywhere close to a truck, I call it up because you know what? I don't know. You never know. It could be somebody else's child. I have a lot of nieces and nephews. It could be any one of mine.
And see, Stacey, that's why I'm so grateful for the call because, see, When I originally heard about this story, I'm thinking, listen, he's been on the record. He had a, relatively young girlfriend, and I'm thinking, he's probably with her, and he got caught engaging in some consensual activity. I had no idea about the sex trafficking, the sting operation, or anything like that. And so now that changes it and elevates the level of seriousness that should be attached to all of this without question. And so, I mean, my apologies for not knowing more before I even commented on the article. I want to make sure I say, because I get where you're coming from. When you talk about sex trafficking, and again, Robert Kraft is not being accused of such thing. He's being accused of soliciting prostitution. But the whole issue of sex trafficking and how serious of a crime that is and how children are involved and what have you. Oh, my God, I had no idea that was a part of this story. So I appreciate you commenting about it, Stacey.
Believe it or not, Stephen A., there's too much rich folks out here is just getting what they want and just with a slap on the wrist. It's not fair. What about these young children? As I said, it could be anybody's child. What about his grandchild? What about his great-grandchild?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the call, Stacey. Thank you so much. Those are the legitimate questions. Anytime you hear about sex trafficking, that's exactly what you have to think about. That's exactly what you have to think about. That's exactly what you have to do. That's why I paused when I saw sex trafficking. What the hell are they talking? What is going on? Wow. Carlton, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, man?
Hey, I am really saddened by this news. I've always considered Robert Kraft, the consummate executive. And I actually hope somehow, some way he got wrapped up in something far beyond what he understood it to be. My views on Bill Belichick are well known. I can't stand the guy. He's been cheating since he was a lacrosse player at Wesleyan, as was delineated in the biography of him recently released, which made the New York Times. But Kraft is a different person from my standpoint. Nothing but class. But what I really want to see tomorrow is how the social justice warriors on your program, the Mollies and the Maxes.
Well, you're going to have to wait. Well, you got to mean Monday because we don't come back on until Monday.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Monday. I forgot today's Friday. You're right. These are the people that, remember when Reuben Foster was just even accused of having a problem with a girlfriend who had actually I think did a little time for falsely accusing a prior boyfriend.
Yes.
They jumped down his throat. They jumped down the Washington Redskins' throat. They thought the Redskins were just like the most horrendous franchise in the world for actually, taking a chance on this guy going forward. Of course, a month and a half later, all charges were dropped against him, and that's completely gone away. But now that Robert Kraft is a favorite of theirs, I can't wait to see what they say about him getting wrapped up in a potentially human trafficking ring that most of them do involve underage children. And in this case, we're talking females. So I can't wait what the social justice warriors have to say about this.
I tell you this much, Carlton. People are going to need to have a lot to say. Because, again, when I first heard the story, I'm thinking, okay, he has a young girlfriend. He got caught in a compromising situation, engaging in consensual activity with a consenting adult. When you see the word sex trafficking, that's an entirely different connotation. And all of a sudden, it starts thinking about what you brought up, what the previous caller, Stacey, brought up. And you're talking about human trafficking. You're talking about involving potentially underage children and all of this other stuff. Now, again, he's been accused of soliciting prostitution. He hasn't been accused of being in sex trafficking or anything like that. So let's make sure that we divide the two and make sure we understand what he's being accused of. But nevertheless, when you see the story and anything, you start to talk about sting operations, 200 arrests, a sting operation that involves or spans months at a time, and it said sex trafficking. That's an entirely different situation that I thought existed. So it's scary now, and I sincerely hope he's not guilty of anything the police appear to be accusing him of. But I got to tell you, it's not a good situation for him to be in. And like you said, you think highly of him. Imagine what I think of him and other people think of him who know him a little bit. I mean, we think the world of him. So to see his name associated with such a thing is incredibly uncomfortable.
I sincerely hope he's innocent, but that has never prevented Molly and Max from going at people in the past that are even tangentially associated with any of this stuff. And by the way, you know my views on Donald Trump. I am no fan of Donald Trump's, but for a year and a half, I had to listen to Max at least 30 times bloviate on Donald Trump's collusion with Russians. He has been amazingly silent after that whole thing has completely blown up in his face. If you'd ask him, could he update all of us sports aficionados that had to listen to him bloviate about that, what his position is on that now, that it was all one big fraud on his part, trying to convince everybody that the current administration. Yeah, so anyway.
Appreciate the call as always, my man. Thank you so much. Yeah. Let's go to Jack. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Jack.
Hey, Stephen.
Hold on, Jack. Breaking news, CNN, musician R. Kelly, who's been associated with accusations of abusing young women for decades, has been indicted, according to CNN. Now, that is a man I hope gets thrown under the jail after seeing that documentary against him on Lifetime. Oh, my Lord. I just wanted to put that out there. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Stephen, first of all, I don't know if you remember from a couple of weeks ago, I just wanted to say thank you because it made me kind of famous amongst my friends who heard me on your show.
Oh, man, you were a great caller. I didn't make you famous. You made yourself famous because you were making really, really good points. And nothing but respect for you for that, my man.
Well, no, I just wanted to, obviously you didn't like my comment about the Bears, but I don't want to talk about the Bears right now. I wanted to ask you personally, do you think that the NFL will intervene with this Robert Kraft situation at all?
Oh, yes, they will. Yes, they will. They have to. They have to. It's a matter of public record. It's a matter of public record. The police are charging him with a crime, albeit a misdemeanor, still a crime. And the Shield will tell you don't even have to be arrested. You don't have to be indicted. You don't have to be convicted. The court of the NFL will intervene, and obviously something will be brought to bear because of this. There's no question about that.
So what kind of punishment do you think they'll maybe hand down?
I think it depends. I think it depends on what they learn from the police, and as they do their own investigation, that will determine the severity of the punishment.
Thanks, Stephen A. And as always, go Bears. Super Bowl favorites for next year.
All right. Thank you, man. By the way, the NFL says it is aware of the ongoing law enforcement matter and will continue to monitor developments. So they'll monitor developments, and knowing them, they will engage in their own investigation, and they will go from there. Raheem, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Stephen A., what's going on, brother?
What's up, man? Go ahead.
Nothing much. Glad to be on your show today.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make it clear. I'm totally against sex trafficking, soliciting,
So am I.
prostitution.
So am I. So am I.
The details, but what I'm saying, they knew this was going on. You know, they let him win the Super Bowl. But in my opinion, this is just my opinion. Once he built a relationship with Meek Mill, you know, they won the Super Bowl. He put the chain on his neck. I think that he put on a gasoline tuxedo and jogged by a fire when he did that. And then in recent talks, they were talking about signing Kaepernick. If I'm getting it correct, that's when the fire jumped out at him.
No, the reports were that they would one of the teams that would consider him, but it was according to his lawyer. Carolina and New England would be ideal landing spots or whatever. I don't know what level of validity there was to that, because where's Tom Brady going? That's number one. Number two, let me make sure I get this clear for my listeners. What you're saying is that his association with Meek Mill, who obviously, not just because of being a rap artist, but being incarcerated for the probation violation, and ultimately with the assistance of Michael Rubin, part owner for the Philadelphia 76ers, along with Robert Kraft of the New England Patriots, helping to get him out of jail. You're saying his association with Meek Mill, combined with reported willingness to consider bringing Colin Kaepernick to the New England Patriots, you're saying that's a reason why Robert Kraft finds himself in this tenuous situation?
I believe so. That's just my personal opinion. You know, once you're in the higher-ups like that, they don't want certain things to, you know, coincide together. They want you to be on this side, and that's that. Once you start mixing it and crossing it, America wants him put on a plateau to where he stands alone and this country is great. That's just my opinion, brother.
My reaction to that would be, I think that's a stretch, but I'm in no position to tell you you're definitively wrong. I don't know that to be the case. I kind of doubt it, but I can understand the conspiracy theorists out there like yourself, how that could be something that's plausible. I can do that.
But listen to this though. If he is guilty, let's get him on a Lifetime television show like they do on R. Kelly.
Well, if he's guilty of what? Soliciting prostitution?
Come on, brother.
Hold on, wait a minute. Soliciting prostitution is illegal as it may be, okay? And I'm certainly, again, when we say sex trafficking, particularly when you're talking about minors, and oh my God, that's just egregious. Don't get me started with that. Like I said, I didn't know that was the damn story. I thought he got busted engaging in something consensual with another adult or something like that. As simple as that. I didn't know all this sex trafficking stuff was going on, you know, in terms of the sting operation spanning months and over 200 arrests. I had no idea that was the story when I first started off the show. But having said all of that, let's be clear. R. Kelly has been accused of rape, of kidnapping, and stuff like that. I'm just saying. I don't know. Like, you know, I'm not even qualified to go into this because I just don't know. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Back with more of your calls on this matter involving Robert Kraft and this whole sex trafficking sting operation conducted by police in Florida and what have you. This is a bad situation. Had no idea it was like this. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. We'll get back to more of your calls in a minute. By the way, do you have frequent heartburn, like the kind where you have antacids stashed everywhere in case it pops up? You know what I mean. You keep some in your bag or your desk or your car or your nightstand. You have those chalky tablets ready for whenever and wherever heartburn strikes. Well, listen up. There's an easier way to deal with your heartburn. That's Prilosec OTC. Just one pill a day will last a full 24 hours with zero heartburn. Kick your antacid habit. It's possible with Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief. Back to your calls in more in a minute with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News.
Craving even more of Stephen A.?
Him of all